Media Network proudly presents It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, with Laura Mock, Maria Hartman, Wendy Ann, and Lara Brzezinski. It's All Love, a space where we open into the heart, tap into the soul's deep wisdom, and enter into the energy of love, truth, presence, and joy. It's All Love, Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Hello, welcome to It's All Love, a sacred community where we open our hearts and align to the vibration of love, heart to heart, soul to soul. We are so excited you're here. Thanks for joining us today, whether it's live or you're watching after. I'm Lara Brzezinski, coming to you from Arvada, Colorado, and joining me today, my co-hosts are Maria, Wendy, and Laura. This show came about from a simple and mutually inspired conversation about how connection, community, and aligning to the frequency of love can not only heal, but create an expansiveness of consciousness and creativity. So, as we step into this together, we invite you into this community, this frequency of love, presence, truth, and joy. At the beginning of each session, we will go within and receive a guided meditation to assist in opening the heart center. We enter into the energy of love, truth, and presence, and magic always happens when we are our authentic selves, tapped into our soul's wisdom. From there, we allow our inner wisdom to guide the conversation. So I invite you to join us in this practice. Let's begin. Laura, I'm going to pass this over to you.
All right, so we're going to start with a guided meditation, and we're just going to see what comes through. There's multiple layers of why we're doing this, but one is a long time ago I learned to get out of my own way, so to speak, and just allow my beingness to be here. And so you're welcome to join us. Some of you may want to close your eyes. Some of you are listening and doing other things. It's all perfect. But if you would like to, you may go into a quiet space within. And the way we do that is just pay attention to where we are right now. We are present here in this moment. The breath is here as our natural guidance system. As you take mindful, deep breaths, some of you may have a more shallow breath, a deeper breath. It's all perfect. It is truly all love. But just allow the breath to guide you and help you remember that you are here. As we're going into the body and into the breath, you go deeper and deeper within. And for today, it seems for us to remember again, you may choose to put your hand on your heart, both hands on your heart. And for today, again, in the frequency of all of this, in particular presence, you may say to yourself or out loud, I am here. Deep breath, in and out. I am here. And again, deep breath, in and out with so much love for thyself. I am here. And for a moment, pause as you have proclaimed your divine presence in this moment right now. And if you pause and begin to feel this through your heart center, you will literally, physically, metaphysically feel the gratitude of your presence. And you will feel a hug, love, and know that the voice in return says thank you. And any time throughout your day, your week, if there's any energy that's moving through you, if it's anxious, worried, scared, a very efficient and loving way to connect is stop, pause, breathe. I am here. And you will feel the gratitude of your sheer presence in this place. So take a few more deep breaths and allow yourself to come back into this space with a collective community that is here embracing you as well. I'm grateful that you are here. And so it is. All right, girls. We are here. We are here. So let's go with that for a little bit. How's everybody been feeling about I am here and gratitude for oneself and the journey? What's on anyone's mind when you go into that meditation? What pops up for you? Talk to me.
Well, for me, just coming off a conversation we had recently, it can be so easy to get out of presence if you're looking at your story. So if I was looking at my story and coming from Canada and feeling a little homesick yesterday was Canada Day, and I don't live in Canada, so just going into those feelings of, okay, you know, I'm homesick for family and for the people that I knew when I lived there, and then coming back into presence, but I am here, whether that's North Carolina, but it doesn't matter where this is, it matters where this is. And so returning back into you know, instead of the story of what I've left behind, getting to the presence of where I am now, and listening to the cicadas outside, and hearing my daughter who's home from college upstairs because she's finally gotten to unpacking some of her things for the summer, and all those little moments of presence can be very simple. It doesn't have to be this big arrival. Sometimes you can just arrive back in presence with yourself in just little tiny ways. And so that's what I've been doing to kind of counteract those thoughts, because they're thoughts that I've attached emotions to. But in reality, if I'm here, it's how beautiful is that? I'm here, and there's all these amazing sounds around me, and yes, it's hot, but it's so nice to be here. It's so nice to be here, and just to show up in the moment. So that's what's been going on in my head.
Yeah, I recently was just speaking to somebody who was telling me that they don't know how to meditate, or they don't know, they don't meditate because they don't know how, or their minds are too busy, or their days are too busy, or whatever. And it was interesting because people have this idea of what it means to meditate. Like it's this, sit down, completely zone in, but you can really make anything into a meditation. Like you were just saying, like those words that I am here, you can say that anytime, all
Mm-hmm.
day, any time of the day. It doesn't even have to take more than 30 seconds. That 30 seconds of repeating those words to yourself and focusing on your breath is the first step. Or it could be everything. It could be everything um, that you ever do as far as meditation goes. But what is meditation except for that presence, that
Right.
returning to self? So it was an interesting conversation for somebody to realize, like, yeah, I don't sit down and have this meditation practice, but I find that this person happened to find those moments when she was working out,
Mm.
which is totally not me, but but it is for a lot of people. Like those are their moments of zen. So it's interesting. Yeah. I love the I am here. That
Mm-hmm.
always brings me back to center.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is we only have the moment we're in,
Yeah.
the moment we're in, the moment we're in. And it's our brain that's like, oh, I got to remember this. And we're thinking of the future or we're thinking of the past and missing out on the moment that we're in. So, Laura,
Hmm.
just what you saying, I am here for each one of us is I am present to this conversation. I am present to, why we're doing this. I'm present to what wants to come forward. And that, so Maria, I was the same as your friend. I didn't know how to meditate. I couldn't get my mind to quiet.
Hmm.
But the simple reminder of just be fully present in the moment that you're in, whether you're washing dishes, driving a car, doing laundry, taking a shower, the more present you are, that's the meditative practice, is being right where you are fully. And
Hmm.
as human nature, our brains go this, and that simple take a breath, wait, I am here is so simple and so powerful because, yeah, it can be instantaneous of just, ooh, yeah, this moment, this moment.
Yeah. And I like what you said about, I mean, you could be washing dishes if you're doing it in a mindful way, like just thinking about the act of washing the dishes, of turning on the water, the rinsing. I mean, that is meditation. We all have these, people have these ideas that put it outside of themselves, but it really is all about that, bringing it back in. It's so cool when somebody's like, oh, oh, I can do that.
Right.
Like when it's such a fun, it's like when you're teaching a kid to read, like all of a sudden it clicks into place. Like, oh, now I get it. Now I can do that. Um, yeah, it's one of those moments. I love those. I love those moments.
Well, and the
So
other piece
fun.
of it, I want to give you credit, Laura, is you helped me recognize the reason I was challenged at meditation was because I was thinking it, thinking it, thinking it. Quiet your brain, quiet your brain, quiet your brain.
Right.
Instead of pause, take a breath. I'm now here and drop into your heart. And this is where the gratitude practice comes in, that people like, I don't know how. When you practice gratitude and you feel gratitude, you're in your heart. You're feeling the appreciation, you're feeling the love, and your mind can quiet, right? It's all of these little practices that we have to give ourselves when we don't know how simple it is of I am here.
Mhm.
And that's what I learned. And in the washing of the dishes, being fully present in it is gratitude. I had food on my plate. I'm so grateful I have pots and pans and dishes to wash because I'm now fed, right? To really help someone be in full appreciation for all they have, their life, just like, wow. I love that. There's a poem called The Sacred Art of Tasks, of recognizing that I have this task because I'm gifted with a house to clean, or a car to fill up with gas because I have the car, or dishes because there's food. That in everything is the sacred, and how simple to put I am here, fully present on whatever that task, that moment is. Wow, how blessed I am.
Yeah.
And then whatever the heck is going on out there can go away because you're just right here in love and gratitude. And that's the frequency that we're talking about, the frequency, the vibration. Then when you do move forward into the next moment, whatever shows up is easier to manage, to look at, to move through, because you've just elevated your vibration by simply dropping into your heart, being present.
So I have a thought, but I want to point out that, well, I had
You're
some
in the
technical
sunlight.
difficulty today, and this is obviously not an ideal place to do a podcast because it's changed the complexion of my skin, but it's a gorgeous, and I apologize for that, but it's a gorgeous sunbeam that is the way I have Wi-Fi right now, is the closest to you, so I do apologize for that. But just listen to my words. You don't have to look at this right now. But I do love that, and I think that it's hard not to look at it now. I apologize. It's live.
You look like you're in the treetops. I love it.
No pressure, no pressure. But a lot of the conversations that I have on a regular basis, and I know it was true for me, is I'm hard on myself, right? And especially when you enter any kind of spiritual awakening and spiritual community, you've been reading something, you've been doing something, and there's these seemingly high standards. And what I love about I Am Here is it is so simple, and everything that you said, yes, gratitude, love, it brings you into your heart. And if you think about it, when you are taking a moment and putting your hand on your heart or wherever you want to, your solar plexus, even up here or right here, when you say I am here in a very slow, mindful way, you are professing love for yourself. There's not room for comparison, which is a lower frequency, which we've all been taught to do, and we all experience that at times or sometimes. But when you're I am here, you are saying I matter, but you're not saying I matter from here in an ego like I'm better than. And you're also not saying I don't matter from underneath that. It's like I am here. And we had this meditation, this guided meditation, I don't know, maybe it was a week ago or so. And the guided meditation, and please understand, when I'm just as much a servant, a student of this as everyone else, because I'm always interested in what's going to come through when I get out of my own way and I say I am here. But it was really cool because the meditation took us through a forest, and it was like everything you saw, you came into contact with it, and you said, I am here. And then if you paused, you could hear the tree or the leaf or whatever, the animal, I am here. They would respond, and I am here. And it's this great I am. As so simple as when you catch yourself being hard on yourself, if you catch yourself comparing, well, I don't do it like that, or I don't look like that, or I am here. And there, how could you not know your sacredness in that moment, even if it's just for a glimpse of that moment? You are here, and you matter, and you are sacred, and everything else around you, especially nature, can feel that right back, and you are one. And to me, it's these little, and that is a meditation.
That's just imagine if everybody did that. Imagine if everybody did that at the same time. What would that feel like in the world?
I am here
what
at the same time.
Yeah, what if tomorrow at noon, everybody just stopped what they were doing, 10 seconds, and just said, I am here? What would happen to the energy in that moment? You know, I imagine it would just be visceral if everybody just stopped and everybody felt for 10 seconds how incredible it is to be wherever it is that you are and be here. And then next door to I am here is who's here next to me, and so I am here, and what if you cast it out just a little bit, and so is Laura, and then the next person, and just feel the energy of everybody's presence all at once.
Yeah, that'd be pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. Like, it's what I picture as you were speaking. What I pictured was like, you know how when you are looking at just a pond and the raindrop, like a drop of rain drops into the pond, becomes part of the whole, which is a whole other conversation. But what I was picturing was like it forms that ripple,
Right.
and then another raindrop falls and another ripple and another ripple, and here and there, and they're all rippling outward in that. Oh, I don't know. That's what I was picturing as you were saying it, just these energetic ripples.
That would be,
Oh,
yeah. Just
beautiful.
when I saw it, I was covered in goosebumps because I could just feel it, even within my own self. I could just feel for a moment what that. I could feel the charge of what that would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what presence can do. It feels like such a simple thing, and it feels so hard sometimes, but it's so powerful when you finally land there. And sometimes it can take a long time, a lot of understanding, and if you've been disembodied, or
Right.
you get stuck in your story, it can feel a lot harder to find those moments where you feel like you're connected back to yourself, your inner wisdom, and back out to source again, and entering in that loop. But that I am here is it's just powerfully simple. And if that's the place you start from, then what a great place to start from. And then you can just be here moment to moment to moment to moment, and you fall out of it, and then you go right back in.
Yeah. It's simple enough that you can over and over again just go right back into it without judgment of self, without judgment of falling out of it or stepping out of it. Yeah.
Right.
It really is beautiful. And so easy. Like, when someone and says, I can't do that, I can't do this, it's so hard for me, but it really is as simple as those words, and bringing your attention back to your breath. It's just that moment. What's interesting is when you talk about your story, what are our stories but us going back to the past, reliving that moment over and
Right.
over, whatever, just on a loop, instead of, it's the ultimate stepping out of presence.
Yes.
Right. And worrying about the future is the same thing, right? When we sit here and we can make all the plans in this moment, but really when you start worrying about it, then you're putting all your attention ahead of you instead of being present. Yeah, it's a huge thing. I don't think we realize how important. I don't think I realize. There are times I forget very, very easily how important it is to be in that present moment, and how powerful it is.
I had a wonderful conversation with a friend of mine who has adult children, and they sat down and talked about something that happened in the past, and the mom and the adult child each had a different perspective.
Oh, always.
And
Raise your hand if you've been there. Oh, yeah.
And a sibling has a totally different perspective too, right? Like they all have the same experience and everybody sees it totally different.
Yeah.
And remembers.
She came from a place of love and invitation. And so they each shared their hurts, their perspective, their judgments, and realized, oh, well, that's where you were coming from. That's where you were coming from. And that's why it was received. And what she shared was because they finally cleared it. She said, we're starting again from this new place. And she had made a comment about, we can just leave the past in the past and don't have to look at it again. And I said, yes. And you got to where you are now because of that. So there's nothing wrong. And how cool that you are in this open space, this clear space, and you can be present. And that's what she was talking about, is like we can be present with each other because now that story that we had been carrying forward was cleared. And so I thought that was powerful, is the stories that we carry are the energetics around there's something wrong, there's this person wronged me, or I wronged them, whatever it is. And so there is that space to recognize, I think, when you are carrying your story forward, oh wait, what's in this that wants to be cleared or healed or released, so that I can start from this present moment and just keep going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting because it was about love.
Mm.
And she was present to this moment to say, let's talk. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Can you imagine if all families, I mean, I've had my own versions of that, being with my mother or my own children, in the middle of that. And, there's that point where, I do feel like depending on where everyone is in their journey, that the acknowledgement of victimization potentially, we're talking about different degrees of things, right? But is really important. And continuing to grow in frequency. And as you continue to grow in frequency and consciousness, the story that you carry you begin to, like, when I think I am here, I think what we've talked about before is it creates the space. To me, that's what we talked about with the divine within. Like, that is the space, that's the love. And so when you're in that space and your frequency has risen and your consciousness has risen, you're willing to be in there, that I am here, I am present here with you now. I don't know anything more loving and more powerful than to be in that. Even if someone, let's say someone's not on the planet anymore, or you may be estranged from that person, and that may be in your highest good sometimes, let's be honest. There's realities where that is in your highest good. But you don't have to carry the dysfunction of that situation with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe, starting with, obviously we're in the big time of the presence, I am here, but starting there gives you permission to love yourself exactly where you are. And then eventually you can bring that person to you, or that idea or that story. And it's very interesting. I could write a whole book about my own personal experiences about this, right? But it's interesting when you get into that place of love for yourself and your heart, not, again, from here, not from any kind of ego or lesser than, but here, and then you bring that person or idea or story present, frequency will shift. Will be a softness around it. And then when there's a softness, there's the willingness, the field expands and expands and expands to where now we can literally transform that frequency and take it further. And sometimes we're doing that, I don't know about you all and those of you that may hear this, but sometimes I think a lot of people come in and, like, I feel like I'm healing a tremendous amount of generational stuff. And I feel like it's all on my shoulders sometimes. And so that's where this community comes in. It's like, yeah, you may be doing something similar to that. And then how we can support that. But anyway, that goes off into another tangent, but interesting.
Well, and I will just to tag on one more piece on that, was she was more and more doing just that, loving herself and not allowing her perception of what was going on to continue to disturb her peace. And so she was willing to have the conversation and also realize her daughter had a different perspective. But it was interesting. It was that self-love, that self-reflection, and to also say, this isn't how I want to feel. Again, it comes back to feel. How do I want to feel? How? This doesn't feel right. And so if we're in our head thinking about the future, we're in our head thinking about the past, Okay, how can I just get present? And
Right.
dropping into the heart is that feeling of love, and just it's amazing. And Laura, I so many times, right? You had told me, invited me, okay, get out of your
Thank
head,
you.
get into your heart, right? And then from there, go back into your head and think. But then you're coming from this space of love and openness and curiosity. And from that space, then the judgment can recede. Then we can look at a situation with discernment and not judgment. And I love the expression, it just is what it is. So here's what's going on. How can I be in the isness, the presence of whatever is before me, whether it's washing dishes or someone just rear-ended my car? How do I stay in the isness, in the space of presence and love, and just say, okay, what's next? And again, dropping into the heart and coming from there first, and then tapping into our brain. So powerful.
Agreed.
I feel like the story, you know, it's such a powerful thing in and of itself, and it feels like the stories that, I mean, every culture, everyone has stories. It's one of our divine languages. It's how we understand. It's how we receive wisdom. And so the taking the story is what, when you take the story from the head and bring it into the presence, when you acquire the wisdom that the story was trying to teach you, whatever the situation in life is, that's the next step. The story, when you're retelling it, when you're staying in story, you're staying in brain. When you are able to be present, when you're able to assimilate the wisdom that that story brought to you, you are now living from a heart-based place. And so, I mean, that's how we teach our children. That's how we start. We start teaching our children. We read them stories. That's how wisdom is imparted, is through story. And so it is a natural part of our evolution, of our raising consciousness, of our understanding ourselves better. And truth, love, presence, joy, those are all things that can help bring that from the head down into the heart, where it's now you've transcended it from story to that present. Okay, this is what I've learned from it. This is where I am. I can even love that. And if you can get to that place with that story, and you can look at that story, bring it in your heart, and love that too, that's magic. It really is. You can take whatever hurt you, whatever you didn't like, transform it. And presence is one of those ways you can do it. Or, the looking at the truth of it and asking yourself, is that really what happened? Or is that what that person really meant? Or most of the times it's really their story, not yours. So
it's Laura, I think Laura, A-R-A. I think you're talking about the I try to distinguish with my accent. But I think when it comes down to, when you're in that space of love, that frequency of love, when you are present in your heart and you're in that space of love, it's almost like there's no, we've talked about like the polar, the opposites, or the other than. I mean, the only other than is judgment. And so if you actually come to that space of love, then you can, it's like it transmutes judgment into, it's all love. It transmutes it into just back into love. And that's what releases you from that story. When you're able to finally move out of that space of judgment, then it finally releases you to see something in its truth, in its wholeness, in the frequency of love. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yep. And you did that So Maria and I, I think we're in the mountains, and I guess something. I was ready, for something to come out and to be transmuted. Um, I probably wouldn't have said it that way at the time, but it definitely, that's what happened. And it was
Yeah.
old. And again, I've been on this little spiritual path for a minute, and there's still, I'm going to go to the Canadian version, evolution, or what I would say, evolution. But I like yours better. Sounds better.
In celebration of Canada Day.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Um, and but it was just I must have been ready on many levels. And the topic I would have told you is just black and white. There's just no, and there's just no other way of seeing it. And it's unfortunately a very common trauma for a lot of people in our world. And so for me, it was just very black and white. And Maria was there, not discounting anything and not saying it's okay for those things to occur, but my story, and I'm limiting myself. I don't know if I'm sharing that well, Maria, but it was just you in a loving way challenged me of saying, where are you speaking from? What story is this? And what are you holding on? And what judgments are you holding on from it? And can you discern and release everything else? And in the moment I was able to do that, which was really, really hard because I had held on that story my entire, since I was 5. So it was very hard for me to be like, but the moment I did, I dropped the story into my heart versus the pain that I was carrying here, which I didn't even think it was really conscious at the time. It transformed me in that moment. It was, I am here moment, I am love moment. And so I don't want anyone to hear this later. No one here and no one out there, we all have sometimes excruciating backgrounds and experiences, or things that we participate in that we feel there may be shame or guilt or what, it can be the whole thing. But at the end of the day, stories and traumas and how we deal with them get passed down through generation and generation. And what we're here to do with you all, to also vulnerably share our stories, is to be, it really is all love. It really is. And how we can learn to support one another, acknowledge, hold, nurture, but also if you're coming into this saying, I don't want to feel this way anymore, I don't want to carry this anymore, then you really do have inside of you, and we say there's a community support for you, but you really do have inside of you everything you need to free yourself. And that is the thing that I've probably taken away the most over the last couple of years, in particular that moment with Maria. Again, I don't know if that makes any sense or not. I hope it does, but I think it
does to me because I was there, but I don't know.
Do you want to describe that a little differently, Maria, or like fill in the gaps of what, in general, what I'm talking about?
I think it comes back to, you very well express being able to see people in their wholeness, everybody in their wholeness. And so I actually think it comes back to being able to do that without any exceptions. Does that make sense?
And that's tricky.
It is tricky. It is tricky because we have been taught that there's a right and a wrong, and it feels like there's a right and a wrong for a lot of things in this world. But if you are able to see everybody as completely whole, that kind of shifts. It shifts the story around it. I don't know if that.
Don't you think that directly impacts everything else. I mean,
Everything.
like people feel like when we were saying like standing in that thing and like I am here, and when Wendy said the neighbor of that is who else is here. Whether or not they
Yeah.
accept it or not is on them, but I don't have to fall for the illusion of that. Laura, I think you're going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say we're all moms here. So if we remember as new moms, I was reminded separate the action and the behavior from the child. Separate what that person did from the person. That person is whole and complete, and maybe doesn't know how to drop into love. That person is living in fear and judgment, and therefore acting out this way, having the behaviors. And so that's the space of, wow, I was invited to, this is how I would teach my child of what's appropriate, what's not. How can I use that same lens on the adults? And the things that are happening is not, again, to condone behavior that's inexcusable. It's to raise the vibration of seeing the wholeness of that person when they can't.
Yeah.
And that's where there is scientific evidence that everything is energy, everything is a frequency. It has been measured. So if each one of us in our own little space can work on raising our own personal vibration, stepping out of judgment of someone else other than discernment, that behavior is harmful to another person that you just did on that person. That behavior is not supportive of the collective, of keeping our planet alive so that we as humans, whatever it may be, when we can step out of the judgment of others and into discernment, we are raising the collective vibration.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the simple practice. If I am now here present, I'm not in judgment. If I'm now here present, viewing, and I can, from the space of love, go back into my brain and analyze what's going on. Is this appropriate? Is it supportive? Is it loving? Then take the next responsible action from that place. And so much that's going on in the world is from that place where that individual doesn't believe they're whole. They're separate.
Right.
They are not loving themselves. And so they're acting out. Their behavior is not loving to others.
And frankly, not really loving themselves. Like that's not what love is. And then that's humbling, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it. It's and it, we got your back. We've all been there. Yeah. Anything else, anyone? Is that a I mean, and in scene. I have a feeling if there anything else would come up, we could go on for another hour. So maybe go ahead, Laura.
Well, I was going to, we haven't invited our viewers. If you have any comments, if you have any questions, if you want to join the conversation, we can see the comments, and I apologize we didn't invite you sooner, but this is a place to invite you in to be part of the conversation and share your thoughts or ask questions. Again, I'm feeling stuck about something, or I don't feel like I can forgive, and whatever it might be.
Right.
Or I'm a mom. Wow, how powerful. If I could just apply that teaching to the rest of the world. Phew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is a little easier when you're talking about your own child, because there is that love, that deep love. You're able to tap into that as a mother or father or whatever, but it is a lot harder to do that, to remember to do that, to even have the desire to do that when somebody else is acting out. That's not your child, or
we're all teachers here, former teachers. So
yeah, that's right.
Being in a classroom full of children, they're a microcosm of the world.
They
Yes.
really
They're a
They
microcosm
really
of the
are.
world, and being in the classroom with a bunch of grade twos and um, trying to teach them how to talk to each other so that they're not pointing fingers at and tattling on each other. And this person did this, and this person did that, and again, that's the child version of being in the story of this.
Yeah.
I'm in the hurt, and so we tried to teach the children to use an I see, try this statement. So I see.
Or I
That,
feel. Remember, we used to do that
I
too.
see that you took my toy. Try hearing, and it's we had to model at that basic simple level, and even trying to apply that in a situation where somebody is not behaving in a way, even as an adult, road rage or something. I always bring it back to the traffic for some reason.
Because everyone can relate.
Yeah,
it's
no
a
kidding.
universal. It really is. But yeah, it's bringing it back to that I see and try this, but the try this might be to myself. I see that this happened, but try seeing that they're not doing that to me. They're going through their life in their story, and it is the story that is causing the behaviors that that we view as challenging.
Right.
But really, they're just acting from that not a vacuum, because we're all whole, but they're acting from the perception that they are a container of a vacuum of the love.
right.
Well, and let me pose another question. If they were,
I guess we're done.
yeah, sorry, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Buckle up. No, but if they were present, in their heart, number one, obviously they probably wouldn't be moving through life not without considering others, right?
Mhm.
But I also think that when you are present and in your heart, you attract things that show you you attract more of that, right? So it's more and more rare when I'm able to drop into my heart and be that vibration of love. Even if I start my commute to work in the morning from that place, I come across less of those people who cut you off or who, turn in front of you or who are on your butt, as you're driving to work and there's somebody in front of you and you can't go any further. That happens less and less and less because of where I'm vibrating. I'm not going to attract as many of those experiences. And when I do attract them or when I do notice them, I can do two things. One, check myself. Am I still in my heart? And two, is there something else that I need to learn? Is this an opportunity for me to look deeper and see why this is coming into my experience? I don't
nothing else, then it might be you need to slow down, because
yeah,
spirit is trying to. We watched a trailer for a movie coming up today, and Keanu Reeves is a guardian angel, and his whole assignment was in this clip was to just sit there and tap somebody on the shoulder if they were looking at their phone while they were driving, and then they look up and then they avoid the accidents.
wow.
that kind of makes me think of this in a way. It's again that the being present and being in frequency and being in alignment with where it is that you're actually going.
Yeah.
There wasn't a plug.
Sounds
for
like a good
movie or
movie.
anything, but
You're not.
No.
Are you being paid for the movie? Is that what this is?
I don't work for the.
I'm an unpaid advertisement.
No, it was just a synchronicity of something that I saw today, and now we're talking about it.
Perfect.
I actually haven't left my house today in the car, so
Yeah.
I want to tag on Maria. I'm glad that you shared that perspective, right? Because we as the individual can be in the vibration of love, and if that's what we're vibrating out, we're not gonna attract as many of those in. I really appreciated that you verbalized that, because then if somebody does, okay, without judgment, discernment, what's necessary in this moment.
Mhm.
And Wendy, that happened to me. I was driving along and somebody, quick cut in front of me, and I just took my foot off the gas to allow more space. And I was present. I actually was in my heart, and I didn't go to you jerk, you know, which I have in the past. I have in the
For
past.
sure. Yeah.
And I, you know, was in there like, oh, so what needs to happen in this moment? I'm just going to take my foot off the gas, back up, give them more space. You go on your way, I'll go on mine. And then I was right back into my drive. And I didn't allow it to steal my energy and my presence of like, oh, you stupid. And, you know, how long does that carry on with the road rage? And you have just ruined your, you know, your own internal calm.
Yeah, your peace. Yeah.
All that. Yeah, your internal peace.
It's really handing your power over.
Yeah.
I was going to say your peace is now in that other car.
Right. Yeah, they rode off with it. Yeah.
But then when you, it's a physical, you can viscerally see it if you give space. The flow can keep happening if you, instead of, you know, speeding up or reacting. If you give space, which is our, you know, the car's version of taking a breath, and then the flow can keep happening from there. It's just,
I like that. The car's version of taking a breath. It absolutely is. Yeah. And that's not always the natural response. And think about when you're in a situation like that, what do? You hold your breath. You don't breathe. You stop breathing for a moment.
Yeah.
That contraction.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I like that. The car's version of taking a breath.
Yeah, I'll have to mindfully do that more often.
I will be thinking about that from this point forward, like, because you know the car is an extension of you.
Yeah,
you're one in the car. Oh, I could go on metaphors forever, but that's so cool. And the only other thing I thought of, and I know we do need to actually wrap it up, is, and this is, it's almost like, you know, when you go to a really great like class or whatever, and then they end with like, oh wait, a question or like another thought. Those are my favorite because it makes me think later. So sometimes, I know for me, new on the spiritual path, we hear a lot about law of attraction, laws of cause and effect, laws of right return, that whole law. And I think this is tapping in to the true essence of the heart of that law. Because I think that's where some of the confusion can lie. Like when Maria, when you're talking about, I don't attract. When I'm in that frequency, I'm not attracting this. That's why the confusion is like, act like it's already there. And you know, I've had clients like, but I don't have $1 million in the bank, and I don't, you know, and it's like, well, but that's wait, let's go back to some foundational things. And it's not. It's like you can have law, but if you don't have it from the heart, it's going to misinterpret the law. And I am convinced that's where a lot of different organizations, you know, have heard the law, understood it from here, but did not feel it here. And that's how misinterpretations occur. And frankly, that's how I got to peace with a lot of organizational, in my opinion, religions that I felt like we're just promoting a lot of fear and hurt. And that's how I'm like, oh, actually, I can see where that law, I can see where it just all got confusing. So,
well, and that law of attraction is more about frequency than it is about like, oh, I wish I could have this. Oh, I wish I could have that. It's a totally different feeling. It's that, that it's the frequency, not necessarily the desires.
Like, ooh, fun. Maybe another conversation.
I was going to say,
time.
Next week.
on
It's All Love.
Dive into.
Let's go.
So anyway,
Laura,
I am just going to say thank you for everyone who has been sticking with us and enjoying our conversation and the flow. And, you know, hopefully you found something that resonates with you that you can carry forward. That is our purpose. So Maria, Wendy, and Laura are all in North Carolina, and they're part of a school that came about because of the three of them. And Laura really embodies and reminds us of love, of being in love. And Maria is the one that hears truth and reminds us, is that true? Are you speaking your truth? And Wendy is the one that keeps reminding us, be present. Be present to what is. Be present to the life that is unfolding through you as you. And the three of them have these amazing gifts. Laura is a spiritual counselor, a teacher. She has a practice. She also teaches workshops. She's leading the Vistara School. Maria, she is all about energy healing, sound bowl healing. Wendy is the creative essence that helps to tie the gifts of the other two together in her art and her writing and her just, yeah, she's the creative, the photography, all of that. So I just wanted to introduce the three of them and their Vistara School of Wisdom. So if you're curious about learning more about them and what they do, you can visit the website. You can also email if you wanted to learn a little bit more about their classes. Most of their classes are in person in North Carolina, but there's more that is expanding. And then I am a coach. I'm the joy activator, and my business is Radiant Joy Coaching, because I am all about helping you activate the joy that is always ready within you to come out. We just forget when we're not present to the moment. So again, thank you so much. We are every week at 4 o'clock Mountain, 6 p.m. Eastern, where these lovely ladies are, and invite you to come back. Invite your friends. You can find us on YouTube, It's All Love, or I think a lot of you found us on Facebook. We always say like, share, subscribe, and thanks again. So, Laura, parting words before we sign off today?
Probably the essence that I would want to leave in the school that we have is an inner school of wisdom. So it's a collective. It is being in the frequency. It's not anything other than that. It's a community that is helping all of us remember that you have the wisdom inside of you, that you were born with this, that it's already there, and we're just here to help each other remember. That's all that is. You're your own. And so when I think about what we're doing here, and I think about all of our individual ways that we serve, the commonality is you are here and you hold the wisdom here. It's there. It's not out. I mean, you can find it out here, especially when you remember it comes from you. And so we love that. And that is all we're here to do. It's just a service of love and a community. And so many of the things we do not have a fee. They're here to support and love you, remembering you, the inner sanctuary. So as we leave with that idea, again, why don't we leave the way we came in today?
I was hoping you'd say that.
I knew you would. And we should say, Laura knows this as well. Like everyone embodies it all. We just have certain things that like kind of stand out to us at times and help us remember. So, so putting your hand on your heart and taking that deep breath. And I hope you feel the authentic and pure love from us to you, knowing that we're a whole and one. And if you would like to take that deep breath and quietly remind yourself, I am here. I am truth. I am presence. I am joy. And again, a deep breath in. And lastly, I am here. Much love, always. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.